Um, yeah, what should we do this offseason? So what do you think the Niners should do this offseason?
I think they need to get interior offensive line. I think that's the number one thing, honestly. Get interior offensive line. And number two, the cornerback situation needs to get sorted out. Sherman's probably gone, I'd imagine, right? Isn't he?
Sherman basically said he's gone. He said that, yeah.
I think Jason Verrett's been an awesome signing for you guys. If you can retain him, that'd be great. I don't know what contract he'll demand. He's kind of an interesting anomaly of a player because this is the first time in like 4 years he's actually played like more than a few games, right? But I think the cornerback situation's a issue that needs to get sorted, and interior O-line. I don't care who your quarterback is. If your interior O-line's getting blown up and you can't climb the pocket, you're not going to be doing well, and it also helps the run game. So I think they'll address that early in the draft this year.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of different ways they can go, right? I mean, first priority is, right, signing Trent Williams to his very large contract and re-signing Fred Warner to his very large contract. Those two things have to get done. Then you hope Dee Ford retires. That'll open up a ton of cap. Blake called it. To me, more than interior line, they need to get a center. They need to get that elite center play. They wanted it from Weston Richburg. His body hasn't held up. They need an elite level center, whoever that might be. They need to sign that, get that. That's as big a priority to me as any. Quarterback, probably, yeah. If you cut Jimmy, opens up cap. But for me, it's this team is ready to win. So it's not as easy as, well, let's just cut Jimmy, because you can't start Mullins and Beathard or Mullins for 4 games next year when your team is a Super Bowl level roster. That's crippling. So it's got to be, if you move off of Jimmy, you got to get a rookie that you're confident can walk in day one and be that guy. Well, that's the question, which is why I've always been on the Stafford train. We'll see if Detroit trades him. There was some report that he might be willing. Schefter said that he might be willing to move. Hopefully he is, and the Niners are able to acquire him. That would help a lot, but those would be the moves. And then he said corner. For me in the secondary, if we're re-signing guys, I would re-sign Tart for sure. I think they might be able to get a bargain with Tart, given that he's coming off an injury and he's had some injuries. Like, for the level of player he is, you might get a bargain because they need him back, because Tarvarius Moore is not very good. He messes up a lot of very basic assignments and this defense is about playing assignment sound football, and Tarvarius Moore does not do that. And that's where, these mistakes, like you miss on Dante Pettis, you traded up 2 picks to get Pettis, then you have to trade 2 picks for Emmanuel Sanders because Pettis didn't work out, and then because Sanders walked, you had to trade 3 picks to get Ayuk. Like, these kinds of things you're missing on 7 different opportunities to draft another player. These are the things that start to bite you, because you let Tart walk, but Moore is not ready to start. So hopefully they get Tart back, hopefully they get Verrett back, and they can sort this out. We'll see. There's a lot of complications. There's a lot of decisions they're going to have to make. This is the most important offseason for John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. To me, this offseason is going to define the rest of both of their careers as Niners coaches. And for John Lynch as a Niners executive. For me, Kyle Shanahan is going to be a great coach when it's all said and done. Whether he's going to be the Hall of Fame coach for the 49ers or whether he's going to be that for another team is going to depend on this offseason. Because if he can't get his quarterback situation figured out with the guy he wants and make the right decisions, because they have a lot of decisions that have to be the right one this offseason, then I think that it might fade out and Kyle might go and do great things somewhere else. To me, he's going to do great things, but I'm hoping that he does it all right this offseason.
I have a little thing too. Salah's probably going to leave.
Right.
I think he's definitely gone.
Hopefully we get those picks, though.
Huh?
We get those picks. Minority head coach.
Yeah. So him leaving will that'll be a big blow. I was skeptical of him last season just because the overall talent the Niners had on defense, and how much was it that their roster was just amazing, or how much of it was scheme. But I think this year, with how decimated they've been, the defense has done really well. They've done really well. And, there's been games like the Packers games or the Dolphins games where they've not done good enough. But there's also been games like the Rams game where the defense played out of their minds. They had a touchdown. They stymied the Rams offense. So I think that's something to address. And I have another question for you based on this one, Vish. Do you think they should retool and keep kind of the current offense they have now with the quarterback play, or do you think they should go for a more futuristic draft in offseason and like maybe let go of the older guys, try to start building for like 2 or 3 years down the road?
For me, I think I would go veteran quarterback. You got to get a guy who's proven. This roster, you can't have a roster with players like George Kittle, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, and have a year where you're not sure who your quarterback's going to be. That's where I go with, is this a playoff caliber roster? Absolutely, it's a playoff caliber roster.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Super Bowl caliber roster. When you have 5 guys or 4 guys that I can confidently say are top 30 players in the NFL, Trent Williams, George Kittle, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, right? These are elite players. Jimmy Ward's a top level free safety. There's not many guys that are as good as Jimmy Ward. Well, all these guys are fairly young, but here's the problem. When you go 1 year, Deebo Samuel, you don't know. The NFL is such an unknown. You can't say, well, these guys are still young and they'll be ready a year after and we'll figure out quarterback. That's not how this works. So that's why you can't have a season. Like if you go with Nick Mullins as your quarterback, like I don't understand.
You're throwing in the white flag. You're like, all right, we're not going to.
You can win. You can win with the top 30, top 35 quarterback with an excellent defense, a great coach in Kyle Shanahan for like 2 or 3 games until you figure that out. Nick Mullins is not a top 30, top 35 type quarterback. He's a top 45 type quarterback. He wouldn't be successful in any other offense. He does some things well, but he's lacking in his physical capabilities by a lot. And he has zero feel for pressure. He has zero pocket feel and pocket presence and all those things. So for me, it's what is old on this roster. It's not about
Williams.
Huh?
I'd say Trent Williams isn't.
He's old, but it's not about being old, right? Because you got Deebo and Kittle who play.
It's about contracts too, right?
Right, and they play a style that not many other players in the NFL can play. Like if you play their style, I feel like you age faster. Just like look at Gronk. He retired at 30? And then addressing your thing about Tarvarius Moore first time starting, I agree with that, and I think he'll get better with reps and all of that. But here's the thing. He struggled his first 3 games of last year and this year, and it's the simple things. It's not that, hey, he's struggling. He's struggling with communication, and he's struggling with simple executions of coverage, which means, hey, what are my rules? If we're playing cover 4 and they have a number 2 receiver running a vertical, I'm supposed to carry that vertical. He missed it versus Cole Beasley. These are basic things that you can't feel confident that I'm not sure you can just say, oh, they're going to improve, because these are things that you expect a backup caliber player to be able to do, because this is just executing scheme. It's not playmaking. It's not being athletic. It's not anything. It's just executing a scheme that you're learning. Marcel Harris does all these things well. He does his job properly. So that's where I would say I'm a little weary when it comes to Tarvarius Moore.
And from an outsider's perspective, I think the offense is in the upper half of the league when all their pieces are set in play. If they improve their O-line, it's a top 10 offense.
No doubt.
Playmakers.
It's a top 10 offense even with Jimmy. If you go Brandon Ayuk, George.
And I think they will keep. I personally don't see what's wrong with Jimmy. Last year, if he hits that Emmanuel Sanders throw, everyone's touting him as like a top 10 quarterback, right? It's one throw away from winning a Super Bowl, and then you develop and you draft. I think they drafted well this year. Ayuk has been a stud. Kinlaw's coming in on his own, right?
Yeah.
I just don't think blowing it up and getting a rookie quarterback in there is going to help fix this roster unless the rookie quarterback is exceptional. Unless this rookie quarterback is like the ones we talked about earlier. He plays like Herbert or Dak or like someone like that. Unless that rookie quarterback just plays out of his mind and probably someone who would completely blow out the waters on where he's drafted, like expectations, what's the point of getting rid of Jimmy? I just don't see it. I know he's not the best quarterback, but you can definitely win with Jimmy.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I think his price tag is where they kind of have to draw the line. They have the opportunity to move off of him, while the Rams don't have the opportunity to move off of Goff. I'm totally with you when it comes to their offense. I think even with Jimmy, it could be a top 5 offense just with playmakers. They're that good. But Yeah, for me, that's why I don't want to go rookie quarterback. We also totally omitted Deshaun Watson when we were talking about great rookie seasons. The 8 games he played, he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we forgot about him. That's poor Deshaun. He was outstanding. I'll give him a shout out now. But for me, the thing is, I think you hit the nail on the head, right? Like, the rookie quarterback is an unknown. And with the Niners rookie quarterback, like, you can draft a guy, right? And you can hope for the instant success with Kyle Shanahan and all of that. And a guy can have better traits than Jimmy and stuff, but he still got to execute. There's a lot of pressure, going to be a lot of pressure on him to play from day one, just because you need him to be good day one and show development where you have something to go, where that second year you got to be thinking Super Bowl with him. That second year you got to be thinking Super Bowl with him, which is why that's why I've been so consistent where I want a veteran quarterback, and I would like it to be Matthew Stafford. I wouldn't mind if it was Matt Ryan. I wouldn't mind if it was Kirk Cousins, even though I really dislike Kirk Cousins' personality. He's been a top 15 type player for the past 3-4 years now. He's a good quarterback. He's smart. He processes well. He throws a great deep ball. He's good that way. I wouldn't mind him. But yeah, that's where I would go. For me, it's veteran quarterback, veteran quarterback, veteran quarterback. Absolutely not for Sam Darnold before anybody says it in the comments. I'll go a little more in depth maybe one day on why I don't like Sam Darnold. But yeah.
Speaking of Darnold, if you're drafted, remember the 2018 quarterback class? There was Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Those all guys went later than the high-touted prospects of Mayfield, Darnold, Rosen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if the Niners take one of those guys, and let's say he turns out to be like a Mayfield, Rosen, or Darnold, like, boom, you just wasted an amazing roster because it's not good enough to win.
Right. The Bills, if you remember, the Bills made the playoffs the year they drafted Josh Allen with Tyrod Taylor. Sean McDermott's first year, they made the playoffs. They were the ones who passed on Mahomes, and the Chiefs traded to their spot. They took Trey White, and they made the playoffs the year they took Josh Allen. And the Ravens have always been elite at building teams, and those were the two special guys in terms of physical talent from that draft. And those are the two guys that are special, that have been special in terms of their actual play. Baker's been okay. So yeah, I mean, I've seen this one too. Carson Wentz physically would be worth that contract with that level of coaching, but for me, the money Jimmy's contract is bad and Carson's is just worse, just because of all the dead money and stuff. Niners situation overall this offseason, it's such a complicated thing. It's not as simple as, well, if they move off of Jimmy and get a quarterback, right? Because they have like 40 players or 30 players to make decisions on, and they got to bring the right guys back, and they got to retool this roster the right kind of way, because there's too many excellent players here where you got to make it work. My man's been asking Mariota. Yeah, I don't believe in Marcus Mariota. I believe that I talked about it earlier. That game on Monday or Thursday was a total one-off for me. I've never seen him throw the ball like that. I don't think he'll ever throw it like that ever again.